Good morning. Good morning. I'm Dr. Mindy Njimo, and we are at MomPower Overcoming Disappointment. Today, we're going to talk about this topic. I'm so excited. Stan, welcome.
Thank
Happy
you.
Tuesday. How
Yeah,
are you
happy
doing?
Tuesday. Yes, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's
Awesome.
an awesome day. I want to recognize your new background. I love that. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. It's my new creation, and so I'm excited about being in a different area. So my fireplace isn't there. That's going to be a little bit getting used to, but who knows? Maybe I'll build a fireplace in here and have an extend.
That would be cool, right? So Stan actually created that background, which
Yeah.
speaks to how often we should be creating, right? Creating. But at the same time, let's talk about disappointment. So, how often, we're just talking about how often do we experience disappointment? What does that actually look like?
Disappointment is more than once a month. Okay, so you don't get your quota of 12 and then say, "Hey, I'm good." It is
Hey, it's done, right? Or for the month,
yeah,
or
yeah. I have a to-do list, and I want to be disappointed quickly and fast so that I can get them over with, and then I don't have any more, right? Um,
right?
but life doesn't turn out that way, and
Not at all.
we never know what the outcome is in the long run versus the short term, um, maybe disillusionment. But the
Yeah.
disappointment is let me take this room for example. I painted this room 4 times completely, and somebody asked me, well, why don't you just paint a small area? And I go, you don't get the overall view. So
Yeah.
I painted it one color. It was blue and it had white, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then that wasn't the color that I really wanted it to stay at. I just wanted that to kind of pop out. Then I painted it another color, and it pretty much covered everything. And I was like, oh, that's dull. And then I painted it a third time, like the entire room. I have everything masked off and everything. And it was midnight on Saturday when I put my third coat of paint on.
Wow.
And it still didn't give me. And I just looked at it for probably a half an hour, and I was trying to figure out what is the deal. And
Yeah.
then I got up the next morning, Sunday morning, and I watched my church online, and then I started to paint, and I
Yeah.
started to bring these top colors in, and I did an area, and it was like, that's it.
Yeah.
And even when I got done, I wish I would have had like a fiery orange more, but you can't tell when you're looking at swatches, and you
Yeah.
can't you
Yeah.
can't tell.
Yeah.
And then it's just that creative ability. Is disappointment the final verdict, or is there something else? And I'm going to stop with that.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I think one of the keys there is that you actually moved past your disappointment to continue to create what you wanted as an end result. And I think that's one of the keys with disappointment is being able to move past that emotional sadness, that emotional disappointment to actually get to the end result. So I have a story for you. So I had bought this house and I bought it for a really inexpensive price because I was going to flip the house, right? So it had a lot of it was missing walls, the plumbing had to be redone, the electric had to be redone. Like it was a ton of work. So I had put in probably a year worth of work into this house. Like I replaced. So when I talk about a year, I'm talking about sweat equity and I'm talking about money.
Right.
And and I with this house and I had my family in, we were having a big celebration, and in that celebration, the attic caught on fire.
Oh my
And
God.
the fire spread throughout the upper floor, and we had to call the fire department. the fire department locked down all the electricity on the house, and I sat there just like devastated, right? Extremely
Right.
devastated. Like, I put in all this time and money. Am I going to be able to really flip this house? In this house, I was living in North Carolina. I live in North Carolina, and the house was in Ohio, so it's not an easy jaunt just to go
Oh,
in
yeah.
the house, right? So I sat on that for a while, trying to figure out how am I going to make it past this hurdle. Because again, I was having to start all over again, recreate walls, recreate electricity. And so I had to move past that place of disappointment.
Mhm.
And it took me a while. Honestly, sometimes you can't recover from disappointment in like 2 hours, right? Like,
Right.
it took me probably a month to process what had just happened to me, you know?
Yeah.
And, I had to slowly work myself back up to being able to go back in and do that work again to replace everything. And I did eventually flip the house and sold it, and it turned out to be a really great thing. But the process that I went through really taught me a lesson that I had to control my thoughts, because I could have really gone like super self negative. Like, I'm not going to be able to make this happen. I've lost all my money. I might as well dump it now. I can't overcome this. So, having those thoughts, I had to shut that off. I had to
Right.
stop my mind from swirling so that I could move forward. So, yeah, disappointment is a huge emotional potential barrier for you.
It is. Yeah. And the thing, as I'm listening to you talk and I'm listening to you share that story, i- there is the promise and there's the process.
Yeah.
And so often we envision what the promise is.
Yeah.
We hear the promise of the production, of the fruition, of the accomplishment. We hear the promise, and it's in the process
Yeah.
that really refines us and really
Yeah.
creates something inside of us that the promise would not be the promise. It would not be the end result, the outcome, the ultimate outcome without the process. And the process sucks.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's
Okay.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost you time and money.
It is going to cost you time and money. Yeah, there is no getting out of it. You don't get to
Right.
go past go. You don't collect $200.
I know.
You don't own all the railroads.
I know.
Okay. And so the idea is that life is not a game of Monopoly. You can't just put it away at the end of the day and call it good.
That's right.
It is filled with these ideas and with these thoughts. And one of the things about disappointment is I have to ask this question, and I'm learning to ask this question continually, and even more so is, was it even possible for that outcome to be part of the process,
Yeah.
or was it a disillusionment? Was it an expectation that could not really have been delivered?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
and you and I both have had that's how we met.
Yeah, actually. So Stan and I met because we joined a program, and we spent a considerable amount of money to join the program. And the program did not deliver the results that we expected. And so we
Right.
had this high expectation. And sometimes that's part of it too, is your disappointment. We had a super high expectation because of the commitment and the value of the commitment. So super high expectation. And that did not come through after a year of work and continually driving. It was very disappointing that we did not come away with the results that we had anticipated.
Yeah,
Um,
and the thing that we have to ask, whenever we're dealing with a situation like that, is it a situation or is it a process? Is it something that's developing us in a way that we can't see? And was that that person, or was that situation, or was that employment, or was that child capable of delivering
Yeah.
what was presented?
Yeah.
So if I ask my granddaughter
Yeah.
to go out and mow the yard, I've got a great zero turn mower. She's 2.5. Hey, here's the key, right? And here's the engage button, and you've got to push this so you can get the blades to go down. And this makes you move left and right. Is it, I give her all the equipment,
Yeah.
but does she have the capacity to deliver?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the key. And so when we ask something of our children, we ask them to do something, we have to ask the question first, are they capable
Yeah.
of doing it? And I know somebody's saying, and this is what I did, of course they're capable. Of
Yeah.
course they're capable. But are they? What proof do you have that they're capable of delivering on those goods?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point because yesterday I actually was involved with another group, and I don't think the members of the group were capable of delivering. And
Right.
that led to disappointment.
Yes.
It led to the event collapsing, not happening. And it was because the other individuals who were carrying certain weights on the team were not capable of delivering. So,
Right.
in that circumstance, again, how do you take what had happened and then switch yourself to be able to move forward? Right.
Well, if you want me to be completely honest, which I think we should be,
Yes.
I'm totally ticked off.
Right.
Okay.
You do get angry for a while, right?
For a minute. Yeah. And what I coach other people, and I coach this person,
Yeah.
is you got 90 seconds,
Yeah.
because those are the real and effective chemicals that are being released in your body.
That's right. Let's talk
So
about
you
that.
don't suppress it, you process it, and you go through it. But 90 seconds later, you're not living in reality anymore. You're creating, you're recreating. So if you've ever met anybody and they're
That's
like angry all the time, and you just can't figure out why, and you go, why are you so angry? Well, there was this situation that happened, and I'm going, when did it happen?
I know, right?
Like 5 years ago. And people don't get on with their life.
Yeah.
So give yourself the permission to get ticked off. I have a speed bag downstairs in my basement.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what a speed bag is, it's that bag that hangs down that, Rocky beat on and did that. Okay. And it gets those things out. It's much cheaper than punching a wall. Okay. For you uncivilized people like myself. So and it's a whole lot easier to just pump the bag up than to repair drywall. Okay.
There it is.
So the idea is that allow that event to process, and also ask the question, were they capable? Were they really capable? And we never know what the outcome is going to be.
Long term.
And you and I, there was that period of time where, like, I didn't know what happened to you, you didn't know what happened to me, and then one day it was like, hey, let's do something together
Yeah.
and blow this thing up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and really make something good, something extravagant come
Yeah.
out of the process.
Mhm.
Being put into the oven, a cake comes out fluffy.
Yeah.
But if you don't put it in the oven, that heat, you can talk all day long to it. You can
Yeah.
wait and walk through the kitchen. It's not going to rise.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. I heard a quote today, actually, this morning earlier. I was listening to a podcast, and the quote actually said 50% of your memory of an event is a lie. Like,
Is a lie.
made that up in your head. Like
Yeah.
50% 50%, let's say you have a memory of a trauma situation, whatever it is, fire, divorce, whatever traumatic event, 50% of what happened in that situation, you have told yourself a lie. Like
Yeah.
you've made some stuff up in your head that now isn't even true, right? And now
And I
you're
want
living on that lie and generating and perpetuating that. So,
to say 50% is probably a conservative number based on, studies. Yeah. Yeah, because we expound on it and we relive it, and then we have to add an element, you know?
right, right. We
Yeah.
add to the lie.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when I was little, I got in this bed of fire ants, and they actually had fire coming off of them, and it was green fire to boot. And those are the like rare fire ants. So
Right, right. But, we do that as, even my family, like when we get around the dinner table, we like tell extravagant stories on things of the past. Now, probably 50% of that is very exaggerated as to what the truth is.
yeah,
But it is true that you can just generate thoughts in your mind, which again can lead to disease in your body. So being able to control, having the self discipline to inhibit those thoughts, to inhibit that lie, to turn that off. How do we do that?
well, it's taking an assessment of what it is that the expectation really is.
Yeah.
And is the expectation a real expectation? Now, we want people to give us the honor and the respect. Okay, respect is given. Respect is given. Trust is earned, and we want that, and that's the desired outcome. But we have to ask the question: are they capable of doing so? When
Yeah.
when we come back to that question,
Yeah.
are they really capable of it? And when we say, well, yes, they're capable, they're an adult, or they're a responsible child, or they've been in business for 50 years, all these things that we can label on the outside, but what is the proof that
Yeah.
they're capable of it?
Right.
And the proof is, have they expressed that or exercised that in the way that you envision it?
Yeah. That's good.
When we ask, I my kids would say, that when they were growing up, they'd say, "Dad, are you disappointed in me?" And I go, "No, I'm not disappointed in you."
Yeah.
And they're
That's
like, "Well, how couldn't you be?" And I said, "Well, because you don't have all the experience that I have.
yeah.
So
Good.
because I would do it differently than you, I'm not disappointed in you.
Yeah.
And just because you did something that is gonna be with you for a long time
Yeah.
doesn't make me disappointed in you. Okay, and it doesn't take away. This isn't flippant. Say la vie, whatever it will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about. This is
Yeah.
about understanding the capacity,
Yeah.
and also me doing my homework. What was the outcome that I had imagined? What
Yeah.
was the outcome that took place?
Yeah. I want to talk about that just for a second. That's really our final point. But my husband is in the painting contracting business. So he's constantly having to contract work out, right? So if you set yourself up, same for me in business, any business, you set yourself up in your mind. This is a great client. I'm going to get this job. I'm expecting this to happen. Like setting these high expectations that
Yeah,
aren't reality. Like one thing I've noted, then you're going to experience that disappointment, right? So one
right.
thing I noticed about him is, hey, I'm not even going to expect that because I don't want to set myself up for that disappointment. So we have to, again, control our thoughts so that we don't set our own self up for disappointment. I think I'm going to get this huge sale. I think I'm going to get this huge whatever. And then you don't. Then it's just you just set yourself up
Right.
for disappointment. So being able to manage that and not create those lofty things in your mind that may or may not happen, we don't know,
Right.
um, is part of the process too, as well. I think just like living, trying to just live it out without creating those lofty ideas. Now, you were a businessman, so did you ever
Yeah.
do that?
Most definitely. You have those contracts, or you have those experiences where you're already signing the paper for the next vehicle that you're buying, and the new equipment that you're going to purchase, or you're already
Right.
adding on to a room
That's right. Yeah.
before you get the job. And I
Right.
remember there was one time I did this job. I was doing drywall, and we did pristine work. Like,
Yeah.
we got done sanding all the walls, getting ready to prime. And the lady comes home and she says, "You know what I want? I want my walls to have this Spanish stucco look, like they do at Chi-Chi's, like thick mud put on in swirls." And I mean, it was just like, are you kidding me?
Right.
And that question, when I asked, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
was, she didn't have the capacity to understand what it took to get the walls as smooth
Right.
as we got them. There
Right.
were no blemishes, no blurs,
Right.
nothing. And we
Right.
do a dustless sanding. This is when I was in construction. So there was dust free in the house while they
Yeah.
were living there.
Yeah.
And now she wants like heavy texture mud put on the wall. And I just wanted to pull my hair out, and I'm glad I didn't, because I'd have less now than I did then. But um,
Right.
the idea is that when I think about that, and I can go back 100 stories,
Yeah.
she didn't have the capacity to
Right. To understand.
understand what it took.
Yeah.
So my disappointment was, that job. I just wanted to forget it forever. It was just one of those. She just kept adding and adding and adding and adding and changing and changing and changing, and it was just like, um, a
Right.
week job turned into a 3.5 week job because she kept changing her mind. But she
Right.
didn't have the capacity,
Right.
and so, hey, it made me a better person, and also gave me a new creative
Yeah. Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah. Let's talk about that just for a second, because I had this boss one time, and I would say to him, traumatic things like, "Hey, this just happened to me." Like, "Hey, my house just caught on fire." He's like, "Ah, that happened to me. No big deal." I'd be like, "Hey, my dog just died." "Ah, it happened to me. No big deal." Like, I could not surprise him with anything because everything had happened to him. But all those things created him into this man that was like solid. He was
Uh-huh.
very successful in his field. So part of the process is going through those things builds something in you to where you're like, now somebody says their house catches on fire, like, "Hey, I've been there, don't worry about it, you can get through this,"
Yeah. Yeah.
um so it helps you have experiences that you can share with individuals about how you move past that.
Wouldn't it be great if we could just go to like a big box store and buy a box or a carton of resilience,
Yeah.
and just put it on? Like, I want 5 of those. Okay.
Let me just do that without the process.
Yeah. You know, and it's
I
it's
know.
it's focusing on that promise
Yeah.
without the process. And this is what happens so often in new businesses, in new adventures, in new occupations. We're looking at the promise and thinking about all of the promises and the reward, but it's the process.
Yeah.
People,
Exactly.
somewhere along the line,
Yeah.
somebody told a lie and said you could get the promise without the process, and it
Yeah.
just doesn't happen.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
Yeah, not only that, but I think just building your skill set. Like, I went through so many hard things. Like, I feel like now I have some pretty good negotiation skills because I can stay calm,
Yeah,
I can talk my way through it. But at one point in time, it wasn't that way at all. So there's so many skill sets, patience, understanding that you build through that process.
right.
As hard and as difficult as it may be, but then that strengthens you for the next part of the journey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and if I could give the moms one piece of advice that is transferable, universal, do not pray for patience.
Yes.
The
That was in my
reason
head today. Uh-huh.
the reason you don't pray for patience is the only way you learn patience is going through a trial.
So true. So
Oh
true.
my gosh. Yeah.
I know.
I,
Yeah.
I learned that.
Yeah. I read that the other day. I was like, yeah, don't pray for patience for
Yeah.
sure. 'Cause
Yeah.
all
No.
kinds of stuff can happen. But again, that's just part of the process of growing, living, learning, and then being able to share with others, hopefully
Yes.
eventually. Right.
Yeah.
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 So great conversation today. Any other thoughts as we wrap up? I think that was the two things. Number one was does that person who set you up for disappointment have the capability to do what you expected them to
Right.
do?
Right.
Look at it clearly. Probably not.
Right.
And then how did you control your own thought? What's your self-discipline on controlling your thoughts, stopping that negative so that you can actually move forward? But any other takeaways that you have from
So
today?
I think that is a great way. I mean, this is a topic that we could just spend all day on and have a whole lot of fun.
I
You know,
know it
on
is
this
such a
side of
like
those
we're laughing
experiences.
about it now because we've both been there.
Yeah, I wasn't smiling through every situation, believe me.
And it happens daily, right?
Yeah,
Now this
yeah,
can happen daily, weekly, every other day. Like, you're lucky if you get through a week without disappointment, right?
yeah.
So,
I'm here by myself right now, and I have disappointments in what I'm doing.
right.
So I have no one else to put this on.
Yep.
And it is like, was I capable of getting those 17,000 things done in
No,
one day?
no.
No. So be
That
kind to yourself.
makes me
And here again, join
yeah.
us again for
Yeah.
another episode next week.
Yep. And if you like this, subscribe, share, follow. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate you taking your time out to give us a thought and your time today.
Yeah.
So have a great day and look forward. Control your thoughts. And again, be kind to yourself. All right. Bye for now.
We'll see you.